going to be trying to break through your defense. So he's got to make sure that he isn't pushing too much up the pitch with those fullbacks and leaving himself vulnerable in those wing positions. Maybe he might be reconsidering who is going to be playing in that left and right back position to ensure that he's not caught out too often by the long balls to Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The final semi-final of the day on the PlayStation 4. Unlike many before, it is again a mouth-watering proposition. We have Maestro, the hometown hero, the last standing Frenchman here after Mino fell earlier today, looking to get it done in his hometown, here in Paris. And he's got to beat a Brazilian who's been in fantastic form so far in Zezinho. In my opinion, one of the standout players that we've had across the entire weekend here in Paris. Free scoring, kept it tight at the back, but Maestro immediately hears me say that, and that is anything but tight at the back. And finally, Vieira gets back in, but worrying moments there early on for Zezinho.
Zezinho yet to concede a goal in the knockout stages thus far, beating Palanito 2-0. And then Oli Bolli was defeated 3-0 as well. So we're not used to seeing a shaky Zezinho at the back, but maybe it's just early game jitters for him, and he will have time to calm things down now as he regains possession. And he'll have to go up against a lot of red shirts that have been tracked back. And they're already going to set up a wall here.
Well, there is a little pocket of space here for R9, and Zezinho using some tight dribbling there and strafe dribbling to try and maybe bait a player out and find a little bit of space, or maybe accelerate out of that. The little boost that you get when you exit that particular mechanic that's been introduced here on FIFA 20. There it is again, as Zezinho trying to use the strength here of Cristiano Ronaldo, the outside of the right foot. Connected well with the ball, unfortunately. Couldn't get through that wall of bodies and trouble the goalkeeper.
The good thing about getting R9 and playing the pass early with him and encouraging him to move kind of outside the box rather than trying to make the run inside is then you can play it to him on the edge and you can twist and turn. So many times we see people on the edge of the box with the likes of Hullet, the likes of De Jong, and they're just reluctant to turn and try and go for a shot. If you can make sure that R9 or Eusebio is on the edge, then you are going to strike more fear into your opponent.
So now it's time for the Frenchman to come forward. Eusebio, little back heel into R9. Back to goal momentarily, managed to turn and face up Virgil van Dijk, but the Dutchman does what he does best, which is doing his best Gandalf impression and saying, "You shall not pass."
Yeah, it's the one thing you don't really want to do with Van Dijk is face up against him. You want to try and get round him and keep your distance away from him, because if he locks onto you and digs his claws in, it's so difficult to break away. And all you need is one successful lunge, and then he is going to win that ball back. Throw in though to Zezinho, and still looking to try and get up in the face of Maestro. There are so many bodies in the way, and that's why he's just having to be patient with each and every single pass here.
And this will be an emotional semi-final. We saw yesterday the reactions of both players. You know, Zezinho, tears in his eyes, talking about how much it meant to him to have success in FIFA esports and go deep into tournaments. And for Maestro as well, as I say, he's representing France here. He's in his homeland. He wants to do it for all the fans here in France, everybody who's watching him. He's got family, he's got friends. You want to see him succeed, and maybe this game is going to be about keeping those emotions in check, Dan.
Yeah, it is a lot about that for players. It's about who does travel the world to support them and support them in their dreams. I mean, we're still in this era of esports where we've had older generations doubting people's beliefs and hopes and what they want to achieve as a career. And then when you finally get to the point where you are earning a really good amount of money and you can start flying your family around the world, it is an emotional experience. Just getting that one step further, getting to that console final, $15,000 just for getting there. It's always something these players will have in the back of their minds, but first and foremost, it will just be about scoring goals.
And you roll that all up into a package and you're going to see how that emotion affects these players, especially when that chance comes, especially when that deadlock gets broken. But so far, the deadlock's still very much intact between these two. As we do see that line ball down to Kylian Mbappe, and Zezinho using the strafe dribbling more than I've seen anyone else use it so far in the tournament, and it's allowed him to buy just a little bit of space, and the ball just got away from the spell of R9 Ronaldo in the middle of the 18-yard box there. An opportunity maybe not taken by the Brazilian.
And there's Maestro trying to rush that ball to the right wing as well. Expect to see that quite a lot. As soon as Maestro wins that ball back, he's going to try and ping it down either wing to the on-running attacking midfielder. Usually Cristiano Ronaldo the preferred choice just because of the strength going up against the fullbacks. You are right, look at the amount of time that Zezinho has on the ball, and he is using it well. Just being patient, waiting and watching to see which player Maestro switches to. So then he could decide where he's going to try and place a pass and how he's going to break through this defence.
And with the strafe dribbling as well, as he unfortunately just gives the ball away with a lax pass, it just allows you to keep your body between the defender and the ball. So you can see what he's doing there. He can back towards him and not really have a fear of a standing tackle taking the ball away from him. Gives another question for Maestro to answer. Do I want to try and pressure and win the ball back here? Am I going to back off? Zezinho's just kind of waiting to see what Maestro does do, but Maestro's going the more direct route here. Straight down the line to Cristiano Ronaldo. Unfortunately, the cutback just disappointing.
And you have to go through that repetition. If you are going to play the way of Maestro in the moment and go for those balls down the wing and going for the cutback, it's not going to work every time. But 1 in 10, you're probably going to find some success. So you have to kind of keep going at it if that is going to be your game plan. And of course, it is one of the best ways to counter any sort of overload ball side by trying to expose the wings.
We're approaching half-time here, just a few moments to go until the referee will blow his whistle. Chance for Maestro, the Frenchman, to come up with one more attack, and again he's looking to utilise Cristiano Ronaldo, but Robertson will get across comfortably and win that ball back, and maybe time here for Zezinho to spring an attack of his own, fires the ball inside here to Ruud Gullit.
That's an interesting rainbow flick pass. It worked out until then the referee blew his whistle after the interception. Not much to be said about the first 45 minutes. I think the biggest thing we can take away from it is Zezinho looks comfortable on the ball with that strafe dribbling. He has dominated possession. Maestro more than happy to sit back, defend and try and play these balls down the wing like we've seen in previous rounds against Tom and for Filza. Two amazing players that he's knocked out of this tournament, may I add. But I wonder if Zezinho can get that first goal, whether then just encouraging Maestro out a little bit might allow him to break through and get that second. And I don't know whether Maestro has what it takes to come back from a 2-goal deficit with the way he's currently playing. Just a 1 goal, of course. Maestro has so much skill and so much potential. But at 2, with the defensive record of Zezinho, then you would think that would be game over. But he has to find the first.
So second half underway. In the first leg, if you just joined us, of course, 2 legs of action here in the semi-final. The aggregate score will decide who goes through to face up against Lucas, the fairy tale story like Brandon Smith was talking about earlier. Lowest ranked player coming into this tournament, and my word, has he had a performance to write home about so far, and he'll still be looking to go 1 step forward, but chance here early on. Cruyff goes back inside, and Virgil van Dijk just immediately didn't react to that, and I was a little bit worried that ball was just going to break free, and Zezinho have the most comfortable of chances possible.
Zezinho had more time than he thought with Cruyff as well. It's where you expect the defender to do better. Whereas actually Maestro left a massive gap once Cruyff had wormed his way through. Shot could have been on there, and that was a chance for an opening goal. Zezinho might kick himself if he looks back at that opportunity, but at least a little bit of promise in terms of being able to break through Maestro's defences. Again, Maestro will just start to work from the back, playing it around the defenders, switching play where necessary. Look at the pressure.
I was about to say, you talk about adaptability, as you're quite right. Pressure is trying to be applied here by Zezinho. To be able to adjust your game from title to title and still have success is such a testament to some of these pro players. Yeah, we've banged the door enough about how this meta currently might not be the most exciting, but Maestro has adjusted from the free-flowing player to find results and find success here. And again now, looking for Ronaldo down that line.
That one just had a little bit too much power where it was allowed to bounce a couple of times. Gave Robertson time to catch up Cristiano Ronaldo, who was kind of not at full sprint because he's looking up at the air and the player trying to take control of the ball. But these 3 players have played each other in FIFA 18, 19 and 20. Only once in each title, a 4-3 victory for Zezinho in FIFA 18.
Linesman keeps his flag down here. Ronaldo's inside the box, and Zezinho with a cutback! How has it stayed out? It's a mess in the box!
What?
But at the end of the day, when all is said and done, the ball did not cross the line. And Zezinho, he's got to feel hard done by there.
Yeah, Maestro gets away with it there. To go back to previous results, so Zezinho won in FIFA 18 in Manchester. Maestro then defeated him in FIFA 19 at the E-World Cup group stages, and then most recently they did face each other in the quarterfinals in Atlanta, where Zezinho got the better of Maestro 4-2. So they know each other pretty well. Zezinho has the better record across all three titles, and arguably, you can say he should probably be ahead in this one.
Yeah, I think he should have the lead in here. It was a fantastic combination of Van Dijk and the goalkeeper, who somehow managed to keep the ball out. Alexander-Arnold came in to sweep up, as Maestro again just sitting back and waiting for that opportunity to pounce and pinch possession back. That was one of those I was almost getting carried away with myself. You just expect to see the net bulging.
I think Maestro would have expected it as well. It's one of those where you start panicking a little bit, you start hitting buttons, changing which player you're controlling, and you saw even after the ball was somewhat cleared, there was almost another chance for Zezinho to dive straight on it, because Maestro hadn't really had time to collect his thoughts and think about what just happened.
And 70 minutes gone. Not a huge amount of chances in the game, but there really has been the opportunity for goals to be chalked up on the board. And that strafe dribbling again, just trying to bait out R9. Carlos Alberto twisting and turning and maybe just looking for a little dink ball across to Ruud Gullit, and there is that ball opening up the play here, the fake shot. Trying to inject a little bit of pace here for Zezinho, and even though Maestro managed to win the ball back momentarily, Zezinho wins it back almost immediately, and now starts another attack. R9, surely, what a save from Yashin. Wow.
Yashin doing so much here for Maestro. You saw a puff of the cheeks from him, as he knows this could be one, this could easily be two for Zezinho at this point. Did so well. He's getting creative with some of these passes in the midfield as well after the strafe dribbling. As you mentioned, he's baiting Maestro almost. He's just got him on a fishing hook at this point, saying, come on, bring yourself out a little bit, open that gap. And then he is finding these little short passes. Does have a corner here.
Looks like it's going to be taken short by Zezinho. And you feel on the run of play here, certainly deserves a goal. Patrick Vieira in at that near post. Does swing it in at that near post, and Lionel Messi is the player who arrives. Does get the downward header, but can't direct it towards goal. And here goes Pele. Foot race here against Robertson. The Brazilian has done fantastically well from one end to the other, but just a heavy touch allowed Alisson off his line to gather, and if Maestro would have broken away there after all the pressure Zezinho had had, that would have been heartbreak for the Brazilian.
Yeah, I think we've all been there and knew exactly the thoughts that were going through Zezinho's mind, that please not like this. But thankfully for him, Maestro wasn't really able to capitalise with just a heavy touch from Pele. Maybe wasn't expecting to win the ball back with the second bit of contesting.
Messi into Eusebio now. Can't get away from the attentions of Gullit. I feel like something has to change here for Maestro maybe in the second leg. He hasn't been effective enough, in my opinion, going forward. Yes, he soaked up the pressure, and yes, he might be able to cause a few problems here as Alisson's quick off his line.
Thought he was going to go with his hand at one point. Instead goes with his head, but you've got to be careful when you do bring the keeper out like that. But Maestro again still targeting these wings.
Pele with the croqueta leaves Robertson in his dust. Eusebio turns back, a little bit of contact there from Ruud Gullit, but Eusebio doesn't come down. And inside the last 5 minutes here, even though you have to say for 85 minutes it's been all Zezinho, finally Maestro's started to come to life a little bit.
Just started to get a little bit more possession as Maestro, in a couple of wayward passes and attempts to clear the ball from Zezinho, has kept that possession in Maestro's court. Now we'll see whether we can see any sort of winning goal in this first leg. Zezinho, if he is clever about this one, he will just keep the ball, wait for that last attack. Only 2 minutes of added on time, so he doesn't have to hold it very long.
Well, it steps forward now into stoppage time, like you say. Back heel from Gullit. Eusebio makes the run outside of him. Cristiano Ronaldo's there. Oh. Zezinho almost carved Maestro apart once more, and it's actually just going to be a goal kick for all the good work as well.
Any other player, I think if it wasn't Messi who was dominant with his left foot, tried to hit it with the outside of his boot, I think if that's a right-footed player, they're curling that one into the top corner. Zezinho's done so well all game and had so many chances, but has nothing to show for it.
I think if you're the coach sat next to Zezinho right now, you say to him, yeah, more of the same.
Yep.
In the second leg, you don't have to change anything. If you play like that, one of those chances will fall. One of those chances will hit the back of the net. I think the emphasis on change has to come from the other side of the stage, from Maestro.
But he's probably thinking, does it? It's still 0-0. He's still not losing the game. He still is in a position where he can absorb this pressure, take his chances, and then one of these through balls, they might just end up on the end of Ronaldo's feet. Through on goal, where he can take what would be an undeserved win at the moment, in my personal opinion, just because of the chances that Zezinho has had. But we know what Maestro is capable of. We know the skills that he possesses. So I do expect him to come to life a little bit more in this second leg. He's giving Zezinho these opportunities by allowing him to have the possession throughout this first leg.
So nothing to report as far as goals is concerned, and that just makes everything a little bit more edgy in this second leg as well. You don't want to be the player who concedes first in such a tight affair. And for Zezinho, he needs to stay mentally strong. I think we talk about it a lot, but if you fall behind in the early moments of this second leg, having worked so hard to create those chances, to break down the defenses of Maestro, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, and it's going to be difficult to bounce back from.
It's not going to be easy for Maestro to grab this goal. I know there has been a couple of opportunities where maybe he's been able to play the over-the-top through ball, and there was that challenge with Pele and Robertson, where Pele was able to win the ball, but it was a heavy touch. Got to remember, Zezinho has only conceded 8 goals in 7 ties of FIFA. That's 14 matches. To only concede 8 goals really shows how successful Zezinho has been defensively. And people might be saying, oh, well, everyone's defending well. But Zezinho has been scoring goals. He's got 26 goals as well to his name. He's not just been scraping out wins. He has been smashing people when he does get that goal in and then forces them out of their shell. Let's see whether the second leg will offer us a little bit more in terms of attempts on goal.
The second leg underway then, here in Paris. PlayStation 4 semi-final. Lucas waiting in that console final for the winner of Zezinho and Maestro. And early on here, a similar pattern of play, continuing from where we left off in our first leg. Zezinho with the ball, trying to break down the deep-laying defensive lines of Maestro. I mean, you're looking there, it's R9 and Eusebio as Frankie de Jong just fires it straight into R9. The quick footwork for the Brazilian almost creates a chance. And the referee will stop it for a free kick, I believe. But just an example there of how deep Maestro is playing. He's got R9 Ronaldo and Eusebio in his own third behind the ball.
Definitely come into this semi-final with a game plan. A game plan that is effective in FIFA 20. Is it right for the game? Well, that's a different question, but certainly these balls down the wing have been successful.
Cristiano Ronaldo does get inside, and unfortunately there for Maestro, having done so well to beat the man out wide, the fullback. He just couldn't connect the pieces, and now up the other end, Robertson had to stretch there to stop Cristiano Ronaldo because he was in acres of space. Had the Liverpool man let that one go.
Good aggression again from Zezinho defensively, stepping up with those fullbacks and centre-backs. One thing that Maestro is doing that is different to a lot of players who play with a very defensive play style is he is trying to attack quicker now, rather than just playing the ball around between the defenders and switching from right back to left back, which is what he was doing in the early stages of the first leg. He's trying to be a little bit more direct and trying to catch Zezinho off guard with the counter-attack instead.
Well, there is that ball in behind Robertson. Ronaldo stops up using that little L1 version of that skill move. Goes back to Ronaldo, rattles the post, and finally a little slice of luck here for Zezinho. The ball falls to him. He makes no mistake, and you can't say that he has not deserved that.
He's done so well on the right-hand side. It's the question I always ask. If you are going to be playing the ball down the wing, what do you do to actually get into the box? And with the little L1 stop up, just allowed him to generate enough space to actually move in and get a shot away with Cristiano Ronaldo. And then when you have the likes of Team of the Year Mbappe, they are going to be in those positions where they can get the rebounds if they bobble in the right direction. And Zezinho finally has a deserved lead. And we're going to have to see more from Maestro, as finally I get my massage from Mike LaBelle.
Well, let's talk about what Maestro has to do now, because he has to do so much more than he's offered in the first 100 or so minutes of this semi-final. And oh no, Zezinho! A red card showed to Ruud Gullit. I am not sure about that one.
Well, it's a red card, but it's actually Maestro.
Oh, excuse me, it was Maestro
Who had his Gullit sent off. So already a goal down and now a man down. And Gullit, one of the most influential players on the pitch. Means that this is going to be extremely difficult for Maestro to get back into.
Well, I mean, what do you say at this point for Maestro? I didn't quite see what happened, if it was off the ball or if it was just a harsh decision there from the referee, but now changes have got to be made for Maestro, and for Zezinho, well, happy days. He's found that goal to break the deadlock. Now he's got to play against 10, but you can't take your foot off the gas. Sometimes when you play against 10 men, it becomes a little bit more difficult than you expected.
Some things do get difficult when you least expect it, but you just have to play what's in front of you and deal with the situation that has been presented. Maybe it'll be the little bit of extra oomph that Maestro needs to get forward. Because otherwise, he could be looking at going 2 goals down here, and maybe his chances of a console final are slowly dissipating.
Well, we waited about 100 minutes for action, and well, we've got it now. And for Maestro, the hometown hero, he's got an uphill battle to go against now. Down to 10 men, down by 1-0 against a player with one of the best defensive records in the entire tournament. But we have seen some crazy things already today. Dasari's comeback, Tex's performance, dominating performance in his semi-final. Penalty shootouts. The fairy tale, story of Lucas. You just feel that maybe there's another one here in our final semi-final of the day. Ball in behind here to Mbappe. Straight across here, Vieira has to stretch, and Yashin, confidence from the goalkeeper.
One thing my brother always used to say was that FIFA's easier when you have 10 men. We'll see if that pays true here for Maestro, because I'm not sure it is true. I think this is going to be increasingly difficult, especially when Gullit was the man who got sent off. If it was maybe one of the attackers who was less influential, but Gullit is just there or thereabouts in every single position on the pitch.
First name on the team sheet.
He really is. You ask pros who would be that first player that they do add, and so many of them
mistake here though from Zezinho. R9's battling, but just turned back into trouble.
And I think that's what Zezinho has to be careful of now, is mistakes. That is Maestro's real chance of getting back into this game, is silly decisions from Zezinho or slight slip-ups. He does go for a very audacious attempt at a lofted through ball.
Cristiano Ronaldo is on that right-hand side, and maybe Maestro just looking to take the game by the scruff of the neck with that player, but again, Zezinho does a good job defending, clears his lines as well in somewhat of a fancy fashion there from Alexander-Arnold, but Maestro now trying to force the game a bit, as he has to do, is just giving the ball straight back.
Yeah, he's speeding up the pace of the game, and Zezinho doesn't want to play into that too much. He doesn't need to be quickly trying to counter-attack. He can constantly dominate this game now with possession. And of course, Zezinho should be going forward. He definitely needs to be looking for a second goal.
Just waiting for that movement here from R9. Now he's found the Brazilian and into Cruyff. Second bite the cherry. And Virgil van Dijk takes everyone out, including his own players, including the ball, just to clear his lines for a moment. Zezinho keeps coming forward though. Back across to Frankie de Jong now. Another Dutchman comes and gets involved. To another Dutchman as Gullit goes for goal, but Yashin takes to the skies and clutches the ball into his chest.
I respect just taking the shot there, though. There's one or two ways. Or there's always that opportunity of a deflection and then getting a set piece. But as long as this is only a goal difference, there is always that possibility that Maestro might be able to claw his way back into things.
That's a great ball into Cristiano Ronaldo, and almost managed to get that one-on-one versus Robertson. At half-time here, I mean, there's been talking points between these two players. Zezinho took the lead, deservedly so. But then that red card for Maestro really has changed the complexion of this game.
And if it was 2, I'd say this is game over. But I feel like there is still something there for Maestro. And he is finding success on this right-hand side with Cristiano Ronaldo. Sometimes he has been rushing the play ever so slightly, but you can understand with only 45 minutes left now and only having 10 men. And it's trying to find a formation that suits having 10 men too. Because when you only have the 10, there is always going to be one person on the pitch that changes their position and tries to accommodate for that factor, and then they're going to be out of position.
Yeah, it is tough. I'm thinking something like a 4-3-3, and maybe just have those 2 in the centre and the 3 up top. It is tough, though. You know, there's always going to be a gap to be exploited here, but you got to try and get players forward at this point.
But if you play something like a 4-3-3 and then you're leaving out one of the left centre mids, sometimes the left back will try and cover that area, so they'll push up the pitch, and then suddenly there's a gap at the left back as well. All these different things you have to consider when choosing a formation with 10 men. It's not something that pros are often faced with at tournaments. We very rarely see red cards. But it does happen once in a blue moon, so it'll be interesting to see how Maestro deals with this one.
And at this point, you're probably thinking Maestro. He's probably thinking, if I could just get 1 goal here, I'll quite happily take it to extra time. I'll go the distance if needed, just to keep Zezinho out. Here comes the Frenchman again. Eusebio turns into trouble, but will keep possession of the ball. Kante now can stride forward into a little bit of space. 2 players in the middle here. Here's Cristiano Ronaldo. Scoop turn, out of his feet and drives it towards the near post. Alisson didn't look too comfortable dealing with that shot, but he did deal with it at least.
Again, though, just showing to Zezinho. Got to be careful, got to be on your toes and ensuring that you are watching every single turn and covering every angle. Maybe gave Cristiano Ronaldo a little bit too much space there. I wonder if Maestro could do something similar with the likes of R9 in the centre of the pitch and just break away. Might be able to slot one of these away.
That's a great crossfield ball there to find the run of Carlos Alberto. Zezinho here, looking dangerous coming forward. The Brazilian already with 1 goal to his name. R9 turns away from Van Dijk for just a second, but Kante saw the opportunity to pinch the ball back as Maestro now drives forward on this left-hand side with Frankie de Jong.
And Kante is one of the perfect players to bring on if you've had Hullet sent off. So quick in getting into various positions on the pitch as well. So if you are looking at someone you need to cover various different angles, Kante is your man.
Big spread of the play attempted again there by Zezinho, but does not make contact. The ball will just fall out of play, and you can see here the tactics being employed by Maestro. The 4-4-2, and I think he's just going to be trying to attack on one side of the pitch, would be my guess. That right-hand side.
Well, that's where he's been targeting throughout the entire game. Mane will be brought on. Eusebio, he feels like he's flagging a little bit. 30 minutes left, and then Zezinho is into the PlayStation final. Well, there's that ball over the top.
Oh, Robertson hasn't dealt with it again. Mane now drives inside, but Robertson gets back. But a poor clearance here has presented Maestro with a huge chance, and it's wide of the target.
He was offside anyway by the looks of it. And maybe if it were real life, Cristiano Ronaldo would say, well, it was because I was offside, then I missed. But that's the 4-star weak foot coming into action. Not as much of a guaranteed goal, but you'd still expect it. Again, though, that is going to be alarm bells ringing in the head of Zezinho. Come on, wake up. I can't allow these chances.
Zezinho needs a goal here just to put this one to bed, in my opinion. I just get the feeling there's something in this game here for Maestro. Robertson wins the ball back high up the pitch, though. Quick pass in here from Zezinho. Cruyff, de Jong. All covered there by Maestro, though. Sadio Mane with his fresh legs on the pitch, just covering that central ground. And now he's starting an attack of his own on this right-hand side. Mane driving towards goal, being pursued relentlessly by Johan Cruyff. Across here to Frankie de Jong, and Hullet got a vital touch on that one for Zezinho.
He got so far with Mane, but R9 and CR7 had just ran a little bit too far, close towards goal. So the pass had to go backwards. It was only De Jong as the oncoming midfielder.
And this is the danger of having that gap on the pitch. Zezinho could try and exploit it. Cristiano Ronaldo looked for the fancy little pass through, trying to disguise that pass to look for that second, but couldn't quite break down the defenses again of Maestro. Maybe this time with Mbappe. It's actually Ronaldo, excuse me, goes down there under the challenge. And last chance saloon here for Maestro, you feel, has to change something. But just so limited in his options.
Yeah, with the man down, the formation becomes difficult, but he has upped that depth as high as it, well, almost as high as it can go. I want to give credit to Zezinho, though. I mean, he has had the opportunity here with the extra man where he could just be playing to keep the ball and keep possession, frustrate Maestro, but he's been playing attacking football. He's been looking for that counter-attack when he wins the ball. He has been trying to score that second goal. It may change as we get into the final 5 minutes when he knows he's so close and can almost taste that console final. Zezinho certainly has been trying his best to play attacking FIFA. And Maestro, even before he lost a man, definitely was coming into the semi-final with a game plan of allowing Zezinho to play that way, allowing him to have possession and hoping to hit him on the counter. Hasn't worked thus far, but still 18 minutes left to get that one chance that he needs.
Free kick here for Zezinho. Alexander-Arnold tosses the ball in towards Cristiano Ronaldo, and opportunity there to strike. Was blocked by the defender. Maestro tries to clear his lines quickly. Good composure here by Zezinho, just bringing the ball down under his spell. Kevin De Bruyne, fresh on the pitch as well. Space in the middle here. Zezinho maybe looking to end this all now. De Bruyne goes wide. The block came in, I think. No, it was
just enough pressure, I think.
A goal kick here.
If you can get a slide tackle in and put that player under pressure, that shot is going to be less likely to go in. Again, Robertson's struggling, but thankfully this time it was a mistake, but somehow
struggling.
Pele uses the force to push him over.
He's on his back. That was a force push, as you say, from Pele. And Pele now fighting with Hullet to try and win the ball back. And still 10 minutes left in this game as Kante steps in for Maestro. And it's just a war in the midfield. Maestro now. Quick turn from Ronaldo, just wide of the upright.
What a save.
Kante now. Goes inside the box. Ronaldo back to Kante. Patrick Vieira. Oh, I don't know how, but Vieira on the floor somehow gets some part of his body in the way.
But again, Zezinho trying to play that over-the-top through ball, looking for that second goal still. It is giving Maestro chances, though. Some might say it's inexperience.
Maestro throwing everything forward at this point. Trying to do it for France. Trying to do it for vitality. Oof. And Zezinho now, you can tell there's a little bit of nervous energy in every single pass that he's trying to complete.
I think he might have just seen the clock and has realised he does have the opportunity to kill this game. Alexander-Arnold had space, though.
Vieira gets back, though.
But again, rather than running towards the corner, he has run towards goal. It is presenting Maestro with chances. I'm all for encouraging attacking football, but a lot of players would be keeping the ball and closing this game out at this point.
Maestro, this might be his last chance to go forward and find an equaliser. Here's R9. Frankie de Jong back to R9. Poor pass, though, from R9. Shake of the head from Maestro. 90 minutes on the clock now. It's now or never for Maestro. Zezinho just has to hold on.
Just has to keep the ball. That's a risky pass, but he's got away with it. Here we go.
Maestro wins the ball back, tries to fire it forward as quickly as possible. Understandably so, but it's Zezinho who will go through to our PlayStation 4 final. What a performance from him. Maestro falls here in Paris, France. But it was a phenomenal game between the two players.
May have not been the prettiest game of FIFA that we've seen this weekend. Zezinho could have had 2 or 3 with a couple of chances. Maestro came close a couple of times as well, but that is another clean sheet in the knockout stages. A third in the row for Zezinho. As we mentioned, one of the best defensive records of players still left in the tournament. Now 27 goals scored, only 8 conceded in 16 legs of FIFA.
Yeah, absolutely incredible defensive record, and you can see why there, just withstanding the pressure, excuse me, coming in consistently there from Maestro, trying to push for that equalizer towards the end. But in my opinion, I think the damage was done in the first leg. The way that Zezinho controlled the game and set the pace, even though he didn't get the goal, I think it really put Maestro on the back foot.
Yeah, and then Maestro getting that red card, losing Hullet, and just
that was tough.
Being
Yeah,
that man
tough.
down. He still created chances, and credit to him, he did pretty well considering the fact he was a man down. But ultimately, I think the game plan of sitting back and absorbing pressure just played into the hands of Zezinho, who wanted to get forward and wanted to attack and was finding these pockets of space, was finding these shots, and it could have been 2 or 3 in that first leg for Zezinho. And then he just built from that, and he continued to defend successfully like he has done all tournament, with aggressive defending, which is something I've been talking about a lot this tournament. It's not dropping low, and it's not just waiting for the AI to do everything. It's actually taking the initiative and stepping up yourself, lunging in with the X tackle or the square tackle or whatever, the circle. It depends if you're using alternate controls or classic. I'm
standard tackle
myself at this point.
Yeah.
But it's just actually taking the initiative, which is what I like to see from these players.
Yeah, cool. It's a great performance again from Zezinho. Unfortunately, it wasn't the performance that Maestro would have wanted here in Paris, here in France, homeland. I'm sure he would have loved to pick up a trophy, but the man who is going to go through is Zezinho. He's down on the floor right now with Gillian.
Zezinho, you are about to head into your 3rd PS4 final. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, playing confident. I just hope to keep going and go all the way this time. I hope 3rd time is a charm.
And you look for 3rd time to be the charm against a completely unknown player in Lucas. Have you had a chance to watch him here in Paris?
Yeah, I played Lucas in the Swiss rounds. I managed to win against him, but he's from a generation of Germans that just dominate the scenario. You know, there's Moalba, Umut, and now him. I mean, there's always a German in the way. And hopefully this time I can do my best and win against him.
I have to ask you, it is lunchtime back in Brazil. Who's watching? Who's watching you right now?
My mom is watching. I want to send hugs to her, to my brother, to my dad, to all my family, and to my girlfriend as well.
Love it. Okay, we'll see you in a couple games, okay? All right, the showdown on Xbox is coming up here in Paris. Maestro, taking on Texas next.